Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Indeed, all praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon our noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Brothers and sisters, my name is Azhar Zaidi, and I have been with Dar Islam for about 33 years, I believe. And I love this job. It is to manage, to plan the logistics, and to manage it in both Umrahs and in Hajj. And I will do my best to provide you the information. At this stage, the information is going to be in detail in some cases. And in some cases, it won't be specific to your program because that's going to show up, that's going to happen after Ramadan, but enough to get you going, thinking about what to do and how to do and what to plan and what will happen. Enough information will be provided. So bear with me, inshallah. I'm going to share my presentation right now. It's very simple. Come on. Okay. So I would ask you to keep your questions to yourself. Chances are that most of them would be answered during the course of the presentation. So just keep the questions. You have it written down, keep it. We'll open up the Q&A folder towards the end of the session, perhaps, or I believe there are lots of questions that we've already received from you. Maybe we'll just go through them and we will answer those questions to the best of our ability, inshallah. Now, the agenda for the meeting, before we get there, I want you to understand the position that we're in with respect to Hajj. The actual responsibility for delivering Hajj services to you is owned by the Hajj service provider companies. You know, the Al-Burj International, Sira Mawasim, Abdul Latif Jameel, Saudi Hajj Company, they are the ones that are your hosts. They're the ones that own the services to be provided to you. And this includes the airlines. It includes accommodations in the kingdom, whether it's in the hotel, whether it's in Mena or Arafat, all modes of transportation, services in the camps during the manasik of Hajj, and much more. What is our role? Our role is to work with them in a very cooperative and close manner, in a supporting role that these services get delivered to you. That is our role. So this is the important part to understand. When they change the way Hajj is to be done, travel agents do not offer Hajj programs, do not offer Hajj services. What we work with the Hajj service providers who are given responsibility by the Saudi government to provide the Hajj services. So they own doing it. We do our best to ensure that the services are done based on Western standards. We're used to a certain standard here, and we want to make sure that the packages are designed in that manner, the accommodations are in that manner, etc. But the actual delivery of services responsibility is with them. Of course, we try to influence them to the best of our ability. Now, we're providing you this webinar for educational purposes only. Between now and when you go there, things may change. They may come up with new policy. They may come up with new regulations. They may come up with new vaccination requirements, which I hope not. They may come up with new immigration rules. So what we're saying here is that, just take this as a education purpose only, and know that the things that we're presenting may be subject to change without notice. Simple things. I've got 3 things here. One is consideration they should have. And then we're going to go through Hajj itinerary in steps. And the last thing we'll be go through is checklist that you should consider having to go through as you're preparing to depart. Start with the communication during Hajj. Important consideration. Let's talk about communication. Number one, everyone should have a smartphone that they take with them to Saudi Arabia. It must be unlocked from your mobile carrier. And the reason why it's unlocked from the mobile carrier is so that if you want to use the Saudi SIM, that it requires it to be unlocked. And it must have WhatsApp for messaging, because we will have several WhatsApp groups specific to each program so that it's easier to manage, and you are going to be within your program as far as messaging is concerned. So everybody must have WhatsApp on their phone. And I'm going to assume that we're going to use the Nusuk app that people normally use for making appointments to the Rauda and for Umrah, etc. And so I'm going to assume that you should also have Nusuk downloaded on your phone. You will be invited to your specific WhatsApp platform when the time comes. It's too early now. Sales is just going to come to an end. We'll get information from the service provider as to who is in which program. We'll actually have them set up in our system, and then we'll be able to issue WhatsApp groups invitations based on the programs. Now, just want you to make sure that we don't know some of this, whether we're going to be able to go as a group to the Rauda or individual appointment, but make sure that you have the Nusuk app downloaded on your phone. Now, the options for staying connected are two. Number one, get a SIM card in Saudi Arabia when you arrive there. It's easy to get in Medina and in Mecca, both easy to get. And it's very, very nominal charge. For example, if you get a SIM card from one of the carriers, it might cost you about $17 US, $16 US. It gives you enough data that you'll be connected, especially when you're away from the Wi-Fi zone, especially when you're in the manasik of Hajj. And so it is important that every single person not only rely on the Wi-Fi connection, but has a means of staying connected when they're not in the Wi-Fi zone. I'm specifically referring to when you're away from your hotel. I'm specifically referring, and more importantly, when you're in Mena, Arafat, Muzdalifah, you must have the ability to call someone or receive calls. And it's important that you should have a SIM that is active. Either you buy a SIM over there, or most people are now using is they're actually buying an international voice and data plan from their home country. And that is enough for them because they don't have to change SIMs. It will work in Saudi Arabia, and that's another way of remaining connected, staying connected. So those are the two options. Now, to purchase is very simple. I gave you an example of buying one. You just have to show up with a copy of your visa to this mobile carrier. They have booths. They have kiosks everywhere around the hotel that you're staying in, and basically pay them the 50 riyals or 60 riyals, and they will take your phone and take out your existing SIM and replace it. And you just have to choose the appropriate package. Do you want 15 gigs? You want 30 gigs? You want it to be valid for 2 weeks? You want it to be valid for a month? It depends on what you're looking for. But generally speaking, people they have sufficient data when they're buying something like 15 gigs to cover their entire trip. As far as hotels are concerned, Wi-Fi is available at no charge. And you can get that information when you arrive there. We'll be able to tell you what is the name of the Wi-Fi and how to get on it. The usability and reliability depends on the bandwidth and location. And the reason I say that is because there is a tendency, for example, as soon as Salah ends, everybody goes to their phone. So you might find a bit of a slowness there. There might be some dead areas, but that's because of the sheer amount of people that are there. And so, but you can use Wi-Fi very easily in the hotels. I want you to point out, if you're thinking of using WhatsApp to make phone calls, using Wi-Fi, it does not work. That is blocked in Saudi Arabia. You cannot use WhatsApp for live calls. You can use WhatsApp for messaging, for voice notes, for videos, but you cannot make a live call using WhatsApp. It does work sometimes if you have a non-Saudi number. In other words, not a local SIM. It does work sometimes. But you can use other third-party applications like IMO or FaceTime if you want to use Wi-Fi to make phone calls. Preparing for Hajj, number one, you should remember that Hajj is going to be in the month of June. We were there last year, and we know, and you know, that there was an incident when many people died from heat stroke on the day after Eid, and because the temperature soared that day. So we're expecting it to be hot, and I want you to plan based on the fact that it's going to be hot when you're actually there. So what do? Number one, this is the part that works the best. You make sure you take electrolyte enhanced drinks. In other words, those powders you get that are the electrolyte powder, the example, the pictures are shown here. There's Gatorade, they come in different flavors. They're little pouches. There are also capsules that you put in the water, and it dissolves, and it has sufficient electrolytes to replace the perspiration that you're going to go through while you are there in the camps. So make sure you're always hydrated. It appears that I just had a glass of water and you're telling me I should have another one 15, 20 minutes later. Chances are yes, because you don't realize the perspiration is constant, and so you remain dehydrated, and so remain hydrated is the goal. Okay. Number two, especially during the manasik of Hajj, not necessarily when you're staying in the hotel in Mecca and Medina, but when you're out there, especially when you go to Arafat that day and the night in Muzdalifah and the following day in Mena, this is where you would probably use a wet towel. I have a towel sometimes. I will actually dip my towel in cold water and basically rinse it, and I'll put that on my neck, for example. So, or you can use, people will carry a water spray, a bottle with a spray in it. They'll put some water in it and they'll continue to spray it on their face, on their neck, or some people will actually go out and take cold pack. It is required in Arafat, for example. It's required in the train station. If you're one of those that are going to take the train, Al-Mashayar train, if you're in Majid al-Kapsh, that's what you're going to use, the train service, then that lineup in the train station is fairly long. And so people are exhausted at the end of the day. And this is something that can refresh themselves by spraying or making sure they are hydrated as well. I've given you an example at the bottom of the expected temperature, 43 to 45. But I know that last year we did go above that, above the high end. And so this is give you an idea as to what to expect. The common sense thing is to avoid prolonged exposure to the sun. Very simple. Either you stay in the shade, or inshallah, you will be provided with umbrellas as part of your complimentary gift from the service providers. So use that umbrella. So umbrellas will be used, generally speaking, when you're outside. You take that, one of the things that you take with you to Mena. If you're very sensitive to sunlight, you can certainly use a perfume-free sunscreen lotion. And so people worry about, I'm in Ihram, can I put on the lotion? Yes, you can. You can use a perfume-free sunscreen lotion if you want to actually protect yourself from the sun. The fifth one is the most important one. It is so important because when you're there, you want to be in the haram all the time. You want to be, going for tahajjud. You want to come back and have breakfast, have 2 hours of sleep. And then you want to go back again for prayers. You can do this for 2 or 3 days. And then after that, it takes a toll on you. Either you get sick or you get completely exhausted. What you need to do is conserve yourself for the days of Hajj. Remember, your objective is to be the most alert and active on the day of Arafat. That is your objective. You're not going to be spending time in Medina hotels and Mecca hotels and going to the haram so often that by the time Arafat comes in, you can barely keep your eyes open. So it is important for you to listen to your body and make sure you pace yourself and take plenty of rest. Plenty of rest. One of the other ways to do it is to boost your immune system is to consider taking vitamin supplements. Some people also take energy tablets, but you have to be careful because of the sugar content in it. If you're not diabetic, you can take it, but if you're diabetic, you need to consult your physician. People take energy bars for use during the manasik. So I'm now in Arafat, I'm waiting at the train station, I'll just take out a bar and eat it to give me some energy as I'm waiting, or I'm waiting in Muzdalifah. So that's where the actual vitamin supplements that you should take, that's where the electrolyte tablets or powder comes into use, energy bars comes into use. As far as clothing is concerned, the best thing to do is wear something very light. Men, for example, you can wear the Saudi thobe, the gown that they wear, or shalwar kameez. Or if you're going to wear pants and shirt because they're not used to wearing the other two, for example, make sure they're baggy. So they are pretty big because they breathe. Make sure they're made of cotton, for example, because it's going to be too hot for you to wear anything else other than cotton. Women should wear shalwar kameez and baggy pants. Or if they're going to wear an abaya, which most do, then you need to have something very light underneath, because you're not going to take your abaya off except in your room. So when you're outside, if you're going to wear an abaya, don't wear any heavy clothes underneath it, because it's going to be too hot for you. So make sure that you have, something light in a shalwar kameez or baggy pants or long dress. The meals are going to be provided to you in the hotels. In the breakfast, open buffet dinner. If you want to go eat something from outside, make sure that it's pretty hygienic. Just don't go out and pick any meal from the side street somewhere. Make sure it is hygienic. People normally don't tend to eat lunch, but if you want to have something, you can always buy some snacks from the Bin Daoud store. It's like a Walmart that has everything in it. You can buy some stuff and keep it in your room if you want to stack, especially those who are diabetic. They have to eat something. You can have these snacks with you. In the plane, you'll have the snacks you can purchase over there. You can buy bread, you can buy fruits, you can buy cheese, you can buy, all kinds of stuff. And you can keep it in your room and you can snack on it. Now, this is about those who want to use wheelchair. I need a wheelchair. I need the wheelchair at the airport. So in which case, when the time comes, not now, it's too early. It is only valid once your ticket is issued, because there's no way for the airline to make a notation that you need a wheelchair. So once your ticket is issued, only then can we request the airline that this person needs a wheelchair. What I tell everybody is that we don't get a feedback. Service provider is going to issue the ticket. We don't get that feedback that says the request is noted in the system. So what we tell people is, when you get your ticket, you call the airline and you give them the reference number, and you make sure that they have noted in your file that you need a wheelchair. That takes care of the wheelchair assistance in the departing airport, in the transit airport, in the arrival airport. Number two, if you need wheelchair for tawaf and sa'i, that is, you're doing umrah and you need a wheelchair. So it can be arranged in the haram area. Generally speaking, those people that push the wheelchair, they have a uniform, they have a number on it, and make sure you get one of those, and you negotiate not only the rate, but the more important part is you negotiate the drop-off place. And you find these people just outside the hotel. So as you're coming down the elevator and into the main hall, going towards the haram, these people will be right there. And you say, how much is it? And you negotiate with them. The estimated cost is $100 to $220 per usage, but it depends on the crowd. If it's extremely crowded, they might go up to $150, for example, but $120 has worked so far. So what you need to do is also tell them that when I'm done, when I'm finished with my sa'i, I'll be in the further end of the haram in Marwa. Make sure that the discussion and the negotiation means that you're going to drop me off right here where you're picking me up, so you're near to the hotel. That's important. And then you keep the money with you. You don't give it to him right away until the service is delivered. When he's about to drop you off, only then you actually give him the money. The third category is, I need wheelchair, but I have a family member to push the wheelchair. I don't need to hire somebody with a wheelchair. The wheelchairs are available in the pharmacies in Medina and Mecca. And this is really important. Just go out and purchase one. And the cost will be 100, right? I purchased one a month ago when I was there. It was actually less than $100. It was 295 riyals. $100 is about 375 riyals. So you can buy that and keep it in your room. When you're in the hotels, keep it in your room. When you're in the manasik of Hajj, like in Mena and Arafat, there'll be no room space for you to put it inside the tents. So what you do is you take a bicycle lock with you, a small bicycle lock that you actually lock your wheelchair if it's sitting outside your camp. Lock it up with a metal pole so that it remains locked. And what you do after you use the wheelchair with the family member pushing you as needed, that in the end you can donate it so that somebody else can use it for the benefit and you get the reward for it. As far as electrical power is concerned, they have different type of plugs that goes into the wall outlet. And they have different voltage. So for example, we have 110, 120 in North America, and I believe it's 220 in the UK. So they use 220 over there. And the types of plug you will see in the wall is on the left side. It's either 2 round pins or the UK style 3 flat pins. So for that, you need a power adapter. You need something that allows you to put in your North American plug, or if you're from the UK, you might be good, or any other plug type that you have, and that is on the right side, the type of adapter. So take a universal kit that has these things, and don't rely on purchasing it over there. Make sure you have it with you. There are not too many electrical outlets in the camps in Mena and Arafat. There are not too many plugs. And a tent can hold 10 people, can hold 20 people. You will not find, more than 2 or 3 of these outlets. So what people tend to do is they tend to, and we recommend that you take at least a 20,000 milliamp power bank and make sure it's fully charged as you leave to go to Mena, because at least it'll give your phone 2 or 3 charges. And what that does is that, when you do get a chance to plug it in Mena, you're plugging in your power bank, and so that it remains completely charged, and you can use that while you're there in Mena and Arafat. It is most crucial to have this thing available. Your phone is up and running, especially in the places like in Arafat and Muzdalifah, where there's an open area. And so to remain connected is really important. In regards to the hotel room and checking in, this is the part that needs to be understood well. Any standard hotel room worldwide will consist 2 beds, and that is true. So if you've chosen a quad occupancy, if you've chosen a triple occupancy, all that means is that when you walk into the room, you'll have 2 standard bed, and the 3rd or the 4th bed will be temporary bed. In other words, it will not look like the regular bed. It will nevertheless be a bed. It may be a bit, lower in height, for example, but it will be a bed, but it'll be a temporary bed. And so what people tend to do when they go into the room, they say, wait a minute, why is it that I get this temporary bed and the other 2 are getting the normal bed? It's because we don't decide who gets which bed in the room. We just simply allocate. Triple occupants means these 3 people are in the room. It's the occupants of the room that decide who gets which bed. And so sometimes you might feel slighted. Wait a minute, I paid the same amount as the other guy for a triple occupancy. How come he gets? So that's where shaitan plays with you. And that's why we're telling you this up front, that be considerate of others in the room, and know that that's the standard configuration. The 3rd and the 4th bed is always going to be a temporary bed. And so you should know this now, so you don't have a false expectation when you get to the hotel room. The check-in time generally is 5 p.m. Now, they don't go around knocking at the door at 12 o'clock and say, hey, it's checkout time, leave. Hajj is so congested. Hotel is so overworked. They just don't go around doing that. So if you happen to arrive at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you think that you have traveled for 24 hours or more, that you'll have your room ready. Chances are the room might not be ready. And you might be surprised. Wait a minute, but I paid so much money for it. That is the standard check-in time. Even here in North America, I remember, before COVID, going to and this was also on a weekend, I had to give a seminar in Washington, D.C., Hajj seminar. And I was there at about 11 o'clock, and I thought, it's a good idea for me to check in and get a little bit of rest or take a shower, and then I'll go in the seminar in the afternoon. But they told me that, sir, no rooms are ready before 3 p.m. So it's very standard that the rooms are available in the afternoon, late afternoon. And that is true over there as well. Nobody will leave before the Zohar prayers. So if you're coming in early, then the room will not be available to 5 p.m. Now, what sometimes happens is you're coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning, or just past midnight, depending. It probably is the following day, in which case the room will be available. But know that when you do arrive early, prepare yourself to wait. We will do our best to work with them to make sure you're comfortable and to get the room available as soon as you possibly can. What I've seen in a Makkah First program, people are already in Ihram, and we're able to arrange for them to put their stuff in and then go and do their Umrah and come back. And by the time they came back, the room was ready. So something like that is also possible. In regards to your luggage, my view is that you need three pieces. One is a suitcase that I have all your belonging, but it cannot weigh more than 50 pounds or 23 kilograms. That is for economy class. One should be a roll-on bag that you will need, because you will need it not only in the flight, you will need it over there, because that's where you take your stuff when you're going to Mena. That's where your belongings will be when you're in Mena. So the roll-on bag is going to be 15 pounds or 7 kilograms. And the third one is a backpack. And a backpack should be a light backpack. And because you don't need to actually take your roll-on bag when you go from Mena to Arafat to Muzdalifah, because you don't need your change of clothes. You're going to be in Ihram when you leave Mena to go to Arafat. You're going to come back to Mena the following day in Ihram. So why do you need to change your clothes? So basically you'll travel even lighter. So these are the three pieces that you will need. Okay. Now, in terms of itinerary, when we're departing for Hajj, I'm going to go through each one of them. Departing for Hajj, arrival in Medina or stay in Mecca, in Jeddah, and Mena and Arafat and so forth. And I'll go through each one of them with you. So departing for Hajj, be at the airport early, because the international flights are usually full at this time, because those flights are the ones that have been selected by many for carrying pilgrims. And so there's no point in showing up 2 hours before. If the check-in time is 4 hours before, I show up 4 hours before. If the check-in starts 4 hours before, I'll show up 4 hours before. And it's important to do that. The other important part you'll come across is you got your ticket and you're going with your wife, or you're traveling with a family of 3 or 4, and you're trying to go into their website and trying to select seats, and it says you can't do that. That's because when you have group reservations, you can't select seats. It's more important for you to show up early in the airport so that you can get the seats together as a family. So be there early, allow time to check in. It is worth it. Now, the last part is, if any of you is taking a international flight from another airport, you live in a place where you have to take a domestic flight to your international port of departure. And then from there, you go to Saudi Arabia. This is the part that applies to you. I can use an example for you so to understand. Let's say I live in Columbus, Ohio, and my flight is from JFK to go to Saudi Arabia. And I am on a Delta Airlines from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. If the Delta representative in Columbus, Ohio says, "Sir, I can check your luggage all the way through to Saudi Arabia," I will refuse it. I'll say, "Just give it to me through JFK." Because you're now relying on them at JFK to transfer your luggage from Delta to your international carrier. Now, if that fails, you don't get your luggage in Saudi Arabia. And they can't do anything to help you either. So it is important for you to check your luggage to your international port of departure. So I'm going to check it from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. I'm going to go there and claim my luggage. And when I check in with my international carrier, I will check in the luggage and I'll get their tag that it has been checked in. Now they have taken the responsibility. Should they misplace it, I can file a lost luggage claim and I can have them deliver my luggage to me in Saudi Arabia. And this is the reason I've put this thing in here, because we've had these incidences more than once, and it's significant because it really causes unnecessary stress. The person is without their clothes and they have to go purchase clothes. They're waiting every day if the luggage is going to show up. The airline is saying, "Sir, we have no record of it even getting on in JFK," as because that transfer didn't work. Nobody takes responsibility. And you end up claiming the luggage after you return back to JFK. So that's why it's important to understand, if you're traveling internationally, you check your luggage with the international carrier, not just depend on the domestic carrier to transfer it for you. Now, if you happen to be one of those programs that happens to go to Mecca first, you're not starting in Medina, you're starting in Mecca, then you need to make sure that in your roll-on bag, you have your ihram and accessories. You need to carry that with you, because you have to enter into the state of ihram prior to the flight landing in Jeddah. And so the ihram must be with you. The accessories means, for example, with the ihram, you have to wear certain footwear, that is for men only. For women, there is no restriction on footwear. So make sure you have your footwear with the ihram, your slippers, your sandal. Make sure you have the belt to tie the ihram if you use the belt, for example. And more importantly, the day you're departing from home is the day you will do all your ihram prep at home. You will trim your nails, you will remove your unwanted hair, you will take a ghusl, and you'll get into your normal clothes for your flight because your ihram is in your carry-on with you. For they will change into the ihram clothes normally during transit, or if you're taking Saudi Airlines, you can change it in the flight because normally they have a place to pray in the back of the aircraft. And about 3 hours before, when the cabin lights still off, they have not started their last meal service, you quietly go in there, you'll find other men there, and you'll change into the ihram garment. That's for those who are taking Saudi Airlines. Those who are taking on any other carrier, and they're going to transit in Istanbul on Turkish Airlines, or in Dubai on Emirates, or in Abu Dhabi on Etihad, you have the opportunity when you get to the transit airport to find a place to change into your ihram garment and get ready and go on board the flight onwards to Jeddah in ihram garment. Right? Now, you're not making the intention there. You're not making the niyyah, labbaik Allahumma umrah. You're not doing that. You're just putting on the garment. Just getting ready for it. Women should wear the ihram garment from home. They have no opportunity to change. So they should wear the ihram garment from home. And you want to say, well, I'm going to be in the same garment when I get there to my hotel in Mecca, and then I'm going to have to go to the Haram to perform Umrah. I'd like to change. You're allowed to change your garment when you are in Ihram. You can certainly shower and change, but don't use any of the toiletries in the hotel because they're all perfumed. You're not supposed to put perfume on you when you're in the state of Ihram. So don't use their toiletries. Either you take a small unscented soap with you and you keep that in your hand carry, or you just don't. You just wash yourself with water and make sure you don't comb your hair, don't pull your any hair, and just dry yourself and put on another set of clothing before you go to the haram. And I would suggest that a woman can take an extra set of her change of clothes in her hand carry, just like a man would take accessories in ihram in their hand carry. So you can actually go and change and feel comfortable going to the haram with changed clothes. The intention is made in the aircraft. So when you're on your flight from Istanbul to Jeddah, or Dubai to Jeddah, or Abu Dhabi to Jeddah, or Doha to Jeddah, or even in Saudi Airlines, they will announce that the miqat is coming up in next 30 minutes. You don't wait for the 30 minutes. You make the intention right there in your seat because you already have the ihram garment on, and you start saying your talbiyah. So this is for those who need to pack up and they're going to Mecca first to make sure they don't forget to wear the ihram or take the ihram with them. Now, let's say you're arriving in Medina directly. You're now in a program that starts in Medina. This is to give you an idea that immigration and customs may take time because of volume. If there's a flight before you, another flight before you, and they're still processing them, they're pretty quick these days, but you might be in a lineup just to go through a passport control. Once you go through passport control in Medina airport, you go downstairs and you pick your luggage from the carousel. Make sure it's your luggage because they all look alike. Make sure the name is there, the tag is there, it's your luggage. Make sure you pick it up. And if you don't have your luggage, you look for it's not to be found, don't leave that area, that restricted area, without filing a lost luggage report with the baggage services. Okay? Get a copy of the report and then we'll see what we can do to help you trace that afterwards. But you are responsible for your luggage through customs. Collect your luggage, walk out through customs, out of the restricted area, and only then will you see the representative from the service providers. Now, if you happen to be one of those that carry a green card from the United States or a permanent resident card, any of those things, know that you never ever need to show those to anyone over there, just the passport. So don't give them the green card. Don't put it with your passport. Keep it safe with you and keep it with you all the time. And the reason being that you will need it only on your return trip. When you're checking in for your return flight home, they wanted to make sure that you can board the flight because you are a resident of that country. Only then you're going to require it. So make sure you keep it safe. Once you come out of the restricted area, service provider representative will direct you to the appropriate bus based on the destination hotel. You carry your luggage in your cart to the bus, make sure it gets loaded, make sure your valuables are with you, and you will show up in the hotel, inshallah, in about half an hour, because that's the distance to most hotels from Medina Airport. The hotels themselves in Medina, this is going to give you a good idea as to where they're located, depending on the program you have. We have, Move and Pick, Hilton, Dar al Iman, the Latiba. You can see the middle section, which says Al Masjid Al Nabawi. Women's entrance are on both sides. And this whole white area that you see are the umbrellas that are shading the marble courtyard. That and the location of the hotels are very close. They're just short walking distance, right? So these are all the hotels in the programs that have been sold through us. So once you come in, just make sure you're familiar with the gate. Each of the gates entering the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi has a number. For example, Move and Pick Hotel in Medina, you're going to enter from gate number 328, right? And there are sequence numbers. So it's important that you understand the number of the gate, so that this way, if you come out of the masjid and you don't know which way it is, then just know that I came in to the courtyard through this gate number, and I need to go back to the same gate number. Make sure you attend the religious sessions. There will be a session. If your program is starting in Medina first, there will definitely be a religious session on the manasik of Hajj, and you'll have questions. You'll have questions about Umrah, Tawaf, all that will be answered in the religious session. If there will be a ziyarah in Medina to go on a bus tour, make sure that you all know when that is, so you don't miss your bus. And there will be an appointed group leader, and you will be on the WhatsApp with that group leader, and that group leader will provide you with guidance and as to what the next steps are, including handling of luggage, moving to Mecca, etc. Right? The communication will be through WhatsApp. When you're departing from Medina to Mecca, we tend to take your checked luggage earlier. So I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Mecca to perform Umrah, then my luggage will be given out today. So they can carry it and ship it. And so we will give you specific instructions and what to keep and what to send, and then to where to put your luggage outside. Just follow the instructions. People tend not to follow the instructions, and then they claim my luggage never made it. Well, if I told you to put your luggage outside at 6 p.m. and you chose to put it at 9 p.m., obviously your luggage is going to make it. So just follow the instructions. Work with us. Work with the service providers. All of this is being done to make it convenient, given the complications of the logistics, the traffic, the curfews when trucks can enter with luggage, when they cannot enter with luggage. There are lots of complications we shield you from. We don't tell you about it. Just follow the instructions and make sure it is put on time so that your luggage does get to the destination. Now, what you don't take in your luggage to be transferred, you don't put your hand carry luggage. You don't put your medicines or valuables in your luggage. Oh, brother, I'm sorry, I forgot. My medicine just went and I need it. Well, it's too late. I can't extract that luggage. It's gone. So make sure you're aware of what needs to stay and what needs to go. Brother, I put my ihram in my check luggage. Well, you need your ihram for the next day. So these are the things that will tell you and help you with, but have some common sense and presence of mind that you don't put the wrong thing. Now I'm going to reverse course. Let's say I'm now arriving in Jeddah. I've made my intention to perform Umrah in the plane, and I'm arriving in Jeddah. Same thing. If I'm arriving, then I'm going to have to wait sometimes not, depending on the number of flights before me, to go through immigration and customs. And again, once you go through customs, you pick up your luggage, make sure it's your own. Make sure that you report any lost luggage in the custom hall before exiting. And then you will be met by the service provider representatives outside of customs halls, because they can't come inside. Keep your valuables and hand carry with you. Keep your PR card and green card always with you. Nobody needs it except you. And if you're going to Mecca, then this is the part you need to understand. The transportation is provided by a third-party service provider. And the reason is because there is so many people going from Jeddah to Mecca. They don't want anybody out there booking their own cars. They don't want a bus with 5 seats empty. They don't want a car with only one person in it. So the Saudi government decides to provide the transportation. And so it's a third party that actually provides the transportation. And the service provider reps will coordinate the bus that needs to go to Mecca, and then you'll be told where to go. It's normally by departure destination hotel. The distance from Jeddah to Mecca is only 45 miles or 72 kilometers, but it takes an average of 5 hours to reach the hotel in Mecca after arrival at Jeddah airport. So you've just landed at Jeddah airport. You might think that, okay, it's only 45 miles. I'll be there in a couple of hours. Just won't happen. So just be prepared mentally that you may have to go through this process where you might be waiting until they arrange the bus. You might be waiting until the luggage is loaded. You might be waiting because the bus goes into a checkpoint where they check the documents, etc. It might take you an average of 5 hours to reach the hotel after you arrive at Jeddah airport. The hotels in Mecca, very good. We have 2 hotels in the economy program that are actually in Aziziyah more so than in Mecca. But the rest of them you can see are right in front of the Haram. You have Swiss Hotel, you have the Fairmont Clock Tower Hotel, you have the Swiss Maqam Hotel, you have Anjum on the top left side. They're all in the courtyard, just outside the courtyard of the Haram. The Voco Hotel and Ruwad Asfor are the only 2 that are actually in Aziziyah, and they are probably part of the economy program. Okay. Again, I will say the same thing. Get familiar with the direction, that you know how to get there and how to come back. Now, once you perform Umrah, this is where people exhaust themselves, right? I want to go to the Haram all the time. I'm going to go to the Haram for Tahajjud. I'm going to go to the Haram for, stay there between, Maghrib and Isha. Nothing's wrong with that. However, listen to yourself. You're going to be going for Hajj in a few days. You're going to be spending maybe 3 nights or 4 nights in Mecca. Make sure you are well rested. After Umrah, get rest. Pace yourself so that you can be alert and active when you're not in the hotel, when you are in Ihram, in the middle of the desert, with the temperature above 45 degrees. You have to prepare yourself for that. You have to cope with it. Haram is usually crowded. You cannot just say, well, okay, if there's 15 minutes left to Salah, let me just go now. Chances are you won't even make it, right? Because of the crowd. So if you really want to go for prayers, you go an hour before the prayers. Sometimes even that is not sufficient, right? As such. So make sure you understand that. And we will provide you with admin guidance. The group leader will, as far as what the next steps are going to be, etc. While you're in the hotel. Again, the communication will be through WhatsApp. Now, I want to say this one thing that purposefully I'm interjecting this part here because there is wisdom in this. And that is the Prophet ﷺ, when he made the one and only Hajj, he traveled for 9 days. From assuming Ihram in Medina on the 24th of Zulqa'dah and coming into Mecca on the 4th of Zulhijjah. Mecca was not crowded then. He had 120,000 companions with them. And he came in and performed Umrah on the 4th of Zulhijjah. Hajj started on the 8th. So he stayed in Mecca for 4 days. How many times do you think he went to the Haram for any of the Fard prayers? The answer is 0. He prayed where he stayed. He prayed where he stayed. So use some wisdom. If you have a musalla with the hotel, yes, use the musalla, especially when it's going to be hot in the afternoon, right? As such. If you have the energy, a young man, you want to go through, go ahead, go through it. But use the wisdom. Don't be taken away by the emotion that even though I'm tired, I've got to go and pray over there because it's 100,000 times better. As long as you pray the fard in jama'ah, it's good in the Haram. So make sure you understand that. Now, checking out of the hotel for the manasik of Hajj will require you to pack your belongings for stay in Mena, Arafat, and Muzdalifah in your hand carry luggage, right? So this is, I believe, hang on a second. Yeah, this is to the shifting programs. So let me give you a definition of a shifting program. A shifting program is where your stay in the hotel in front of Mecca comes to an end before the manasik of Hajj begins. In other words, you have to check out before you leave for Mena and Arafat and Muzdalifah. And that's what means by shifting. You're going to be shifting to Aziziyah. You're not going to be staying anymore in that hotel in front of the Haram. You'll be shifting to Aziziyah. That's what shifting means. Now, how do we do this? Well, you pack your belongings first in your small roll-on bag for what you need for Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah. including your ihram. And the rest of the stuff, the checked luggage, you give it out. It'll be picked up and taken away. Now, when the time comes for you to check out, all you're going to do is take your carry-on and off you go to Mena. Your checked luggage is gone. It's gone to your next destination. Right? It's just gone. Sometimes it's kept in storage and it arrives at the next destination the day before you arrive. If your next destination happens to be Medina, because you're starting in Mecca, then it will not show up until Medina. So we will give you instructions on what to pack for your stay while your checked luggage is taken away, but make sure you don't give out, you pack your medicine and valuables with you, okay? This is shifting program. So if you're going to Mina the next day, chances are your checked luggage is picked up the day before. Now, for those who are in the non-shifting programs, meaning I've checked into my hotel when I came in Mecca, and I've done my Umrah, and now I'm about to leave a few days later to go to Mina, but my room is going to remain as is because I'm not shifting. I'm staying in the same room, in which case you don't need to take your checked luggage with you. It remains in the hotel room. All you need to do is pack your belongings from Mena, Arafat, and Muzdalifah in your hand carry, and then you go. Now, you may be given an option, and that option is that you skip going to Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah and go straight to Arafat from your hotel. And that is something that we have done, and it's perfectly okay. There is no penalty, there is no dam, there is no fidya to be paid. Most of the locals that do perform Hajj, they actually start their Hajj on the day of Arafat by coming and making Tawaf al-Qudum and going straight to Arafat. It is a sunnah to go to Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, but if you want to skip it, there is no penalty. We will also give you that option. And the reason I'm saying this is because this option is for those who have difficulty, the elderly, those who have difficulty walking. If you have been given an opportunity to actually perform your Hajj and not have to do this part of it because of your condition, then you should avail that opportunity. If you're a young man, you say, no, I'm going to have to go to Mina, then go to Mina. There's nothing wrong. We're not going to stop you. But there's an option that will be given to you, not now, but survey will be sent out few days prior to the manasik of Hajj, asking you, are you going to go to Mina on the 8th, or are you going to go straight to Arafat and go to Mina afterwards, after your Hajj is complete, your Arafat is complete. So that's something that happens, and you pack accordingly. Your valuables you keep safe in the room while you're in the manasik of Hajj, because the room is yours, the key is with you. The Mina camp. Now it's a challenge for me, because this again is a very general logistics presentation. And so I did not go out and make it specific. There are specific experiences if you are in Majr al-Kafsh. There are specific experiences if you are in Muassim. And there are specific appearances in Kidana Towers. So the challenge for me was to see how I can summarize it. So first, let's start with the map. You see where the Jamarat is. This is where you go and throw the stones on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, and the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, and perhaps even the 13th. And so Majr al-Kafsh is the camp right across from the Jamarat. Right? That's the camp A. Now, Kidana Towers is something new, but notice the arrow that I'm showing. It has several buildings, but the building at the very end, closest to the Jamarat, is the building that we have. That's the building you're going to be in. I think it's called Building A. It's alphabetically numbered, A, B, C, D, E. It's called Building A. That's the closest to the Jamarat that you're going to be going to throw the stones and come back. That's the Kidana Towers. Those are the buildings. And Al-Muassim camp is the furthest away, Camp C. And for you to go to the Jamarat, you have to actually go through the tunnel, through the mountain, which comes out in front of the Jamarat, right around the area where it says Camp A on the left side. That's where the tunnel comes out, and you go and perform your Rami Jamarat and then go walk right back. It's about an hour walk. There are no modes of transportation whatsoever in the valley in the middle during the days of Hajj. They shut down the entrance to the valley completely for transportation because of the sheer amount of people. If you have never been, if you have never seen a crowd, then you ain't seen nothing yet. And so I want to prepare you to prepare for, I'm going to stay in the camp. It's going to be 45 degrees. The AC is doing its best to what it can. You're telling me I have to walk for an hour to go through the stones and come back? Yes. And so we're going to pick a time in the evening to do so, etc. But that's still required. Not for everybody. The elderly and those who cannot can substitute and have someone throw the stones, and all that will be covered in the fiqh session. But then again, you realize the environment that you're going to be in for a few days. And that's the environment that I'm presenting to you. Okay. The space is allocated. Every single space is allocated in Mena. There are no extras, none whatsoever. Bedding, like a foam sleeper chair, pillow, and cover and blanket, that's provided for each person. Each person will be in a specific designated tent by their bedding. And the men and women will be in separate tents, in separate areas. If it's the Kidana towers, they'll be in separate floors. If it's the Majal al-Cups, there'll be separate areas within the camp. And same thing for Muassim. What do you take to Mina? Well, I am in a shifting program. I don't have any accommodation except Nazizia. So I'm going to take with me what I need, which is a change of clothes. Okay, I'm in Ihram, and I'm going to remain in Ihram on the 8th of Zulhijjah. I'm going to be in Ihram on the 9th of Zulhijjah. I'm going to spend the night in Muzdalifah, and I'm going to come back on the 10th of Zulhijjah. Then I'm going to change my Ihram into my normal garments. I need at least one set of change on the 10th, maybe another one on the 11th, and maybe 12th, and that's it. Maybe 2 sets, 3 sets, and that's it. I need a bath towel. I need toiletries that I need to use. Need my meds, right? So basically what you do is you put all of that stuff for those who want to stay overnight in Mena. And a backpack, normally we also take, besides the roll-on bag, is to take the prayer mat, the Quran, the dua book, very, very light. I always put 2 or 3 bottles of water in my backpack. It doesn't matter if it becomes warm. It doesn't matter if it's not cold. As long as I have access to water to remain hydrated. I can take one of those small bottles and pour my powder, electrolyte powder in it, and make sure that it's always ready. I can take a sip on it. Every so often I'll take a sip from it. So that's something that I do. So 2 things that I take: a hand carry bag, which I don't take to Arafat afterwards. So when I'm ready to go from Mina to Arafat, the hand carry stays because it has no valuables in it anyway. And I take my backpack only to Arafat because I'm going to go in Ihram and come back in Ihram. Sorry. Bathrooms are normally the Western style toilets. Expect lineup. Just use common sense. If Fajr is half an hour from now, then chances are the lineup is about a mile long. Just use common sense. Just make sure you're ready an hour before the prayers, for example. There are handheld showers in the bathroom stall, right? The catering stations are set up throughout the camp by the service provider. We don't know how they're going to set it up. They're going to set it up, and normally they set it up separate lines for men and separate lines for women. They have some variety in meals. They always have cold drinks and hot drinks available 24 hours. There's tea and coffee stations, fridge and insulated coolers throughout. So you can always go out and get a pop or a juice or something to make sure you remain hydrated. Now, please make sure you help keep the tents clean. It is very congested. When the time comes for prayers, there is no outdoor player for prayers. You saw that map that I showed you. You don't see anything that is outdoor, that is open. Every single area in that map was a tent. So where do they pray? They pray in their tents. How do you pray in their tents when somebody is laying down? So when the time comes, you fold up those foam sleeper chair and you make room for congregational prayers, and the prayers are held there, the lectures are held there. And of course, the bathrooms are within the area, and just keep it clean. And especially those who come back after Arafat and getting rid of the Ihram, I find sometimes they'll dump the Ihram on the bathroom floor. Just consider there's somebody else going to use the bathroom after you. And somebody will go out and not wait for the hair to be cut. They're out there in their sink, shaving their head and clogging the sink. Somebody else is going to use it afterwards. Clean it up. Take responsibility for your own cleanliness. Would you do this in your own home? Would you do this in your own bathroom? Then you wouldn't do it over there. Okay. Now, plenty of rest. Stay away from idle talk. Make sure you do plenty of rest, especially on the 8th of Zulhijjah. People are anxious to go to Arafat, but this is the time to rest. After Isha, go to sleep. If you've had something to eat, just go to sleep. Don't stay up chit-chatting away till midnight, 1 o'clock. The next day is the most important day. For the whole purpose of your trip is to be actually there in Arafat. So make sure you get some rest on this night going to Arafat. How do we get there? Depending on the camp. If you're in Majr al-Kabsh camp, you will be taking the Al-Mashar train. That train system that goes between Mena and Arafat and Muzdalifah and back to Mena, that's the train system you'll be using. You have to walk to the train station. and all the instructions will come later when we have specific programs, webinar for specific programs. If you're in Kidan Al Wadi Towers, they have dedicated buses. So your bus will be numbered, labeled, and you know that will be your bus, and that will be a bus you'll be staying in, and it will be dedicated to your group going from Mena to Arafat and so forth. If you're in Al Muassim camp, then they have scheduled buses because they have shuttle services. They don't have a dedicated bus. So they will actually develop a schedule to shuttle the pilgrims from Mena to Arafat, and you will have to wait for your time when you will be told to go in and board the shuttle bus and you go to Arafat. So it'll be shuttle buses that they keep shuttling between Arafat and Mina to take everybody to Arafat. What do you need? Essentials to Arafat. You don't need the hand carry with the change of clothes. You just need your backpack because you're going to go in Ihram and come back in Ihram. If you're planning to spend the night in Muzdalifah, don't take the bedding and blanket from Mina because the service provider will provide you something. Last year, they provided us a sleeping bag. I think the year before, they provided us a sleeping bag as well. And so if they provide something like that for that night, then that's sufficient. In Arafat, the camp, the accommodations are separate for men and women. And they use industrial AC units to keep it cool in there. Western style toilets. They will provide open buffet meals and make sure you get enough drinks in there to make sure you're remaining hydrated in hot weather, especially if you're going to be going outside for wukuf, for standing. Make sure you take plenty of liquid. Try to take more liquid than food, but there'll be plenty of food provided as well. This is the day of Hajj. This is the main and entire reason for you to go through this, right? To give away the comfort of your home and to go through all of this and through the crowd and the dust and the heat is for this day. This is the day when most are saved from the punishment and forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than any other day in the entire year. So you rest in the morning and then you prepare for the afternoon, right? So when you get there early in the morning, if you do get there early in the morning, then what you do is you rest a bit. And then you get up early in the afternoon. If the Zuhr time is 12:30, you are already in your state of wudu at 11:30. Don't go there too late because it'll be lineup. And there will be in separate tents, there will be congregational prayers. They will be appointing an imam or a leader to lead in every tents. They're large tents. They're not small tents. They're large tents to hold the men together, hold the women together for this program. It could be multiple programs, like party style tents, if you will. So there'll be a Dhuhr prayer, then Asr prayers, and then there'll be a khutbah of Arafat, and then you'll have individual time to make your supplication, and then later on in the afternoon, there'll be group supplications. Just stay within the gated area. Do not go outside. The entire camp is inside Arafat. There is no sense to say, I need to go to Masjid Nimra, I need to need the khutbah from Masjid Nimra. The Prophet ﷺ says, the whole area is a place, all of Arafat is the place of standing. All of Arafat is the place of wukuf. And there is wisdom in it. Imagine there was no Masjid Nimra at the time. So you can listen to the khutbah in your own tent, stay within your compound, because you go outside and chances are, pretty high that you're going to get lost. The streets are not named. They're not numbered. Nobody seems to know which direction it's supposed to be because almost everybody, including the authorities, the security people, the cops, even they themselves are brought in from somewhere else. So they won't know which direction it is. So stay with your group. Right? Just don't go outside. It's one of the worst places to get lost. Again, if you're departing from Arafat to Muzdalifah, the Al-Mashayir train is for those who are in Majid al-Kabsh camp, and Al-Kidan al-Wadi Towers will take their own dedicated buses back. Make sure you depart with your bus. Al-Muassim will have to go and wait for their time for their bus as is scheduled because there are shuttle buses between Arafat and Muzdalifah. The main thing here, because you've spent an entire day and up and away and pleading your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have lost a lot of fluid in perspiration. Make sure you remain hydrated. This is where the hydration comes into play, the peak of hydration. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you take those electrolyte salts with you. Make sure you carry with you in your backpack extra bottles of water for the trip to Muzdalifah. The areas for the pilgrims are set up by the service providers. Normally they're carpeted, and as each group arrives, not everybody shows up at the same time. As each bus arrives, they'll go make the wudu. So there'll be a jama'ah of Maghrib and Isha together at one place, another Jama'ah of Maghrib Isha another place. This keeps on in the evening. Once you're done with your prayers, normally meals provided if you want to take it, drinks, and you basically go put your sleeping bag down and sleep for the night. It was congested last year. It was just too congested. And so I don't expect it to be any different. It's one of the worst places to get lost, so don't go anywhere else. Stay with your family, stay together. Women will be in a separate area. It's an open air. There's no camp, there's no tents, but it is required for you to spend at least half the night. There are excuses for those who can leave after half the night and move on to Mena. And for that, you'll be covered in the fiqh of Hajj sessions, inshallah. There are two separate departures. If I'm old and if I'm weak, if I'm sick, if I'm a woman, if I'm a child, I can leave in the middle of the night, right? So we'll tell you when that departure is. You just go with them, and they'll take you back to your camp in Mena, and the rest of them can stay till Fajr, and they will go after Fajr back to the camp in Mena, right? Make sure you're with the correct group for your choice of stay in Muzdalifah. Details to come. Once you're in Mena, you're out of Ihram, you're in your normal clothes. Now you have to go for Tawaf al-Ifada, right? So we'll talk about Tawaf al-Ifada, Tawaf al-Wida, end of Hajj, because this is where the bus service comes in. So if I am going to go for Tawaf al-Ifada, not everybody is going to go the same time. So it'll be schedule provided as to who's going to go when from their camps, respective camps, into the Haram, into a designated area in the Haram, a designated hotel, a designated place. You go there and you make a tawaf, you come back to the designated place until your bus comes back and takes you back to your camp. It'll be by group number and program, and the group leader will advise you of the timing and the drop-off and pickup location, right? The subject to road and traffic condition. Applies to non-shifting program because you have your hotel already in Mecca, you have not left your hotel, then you can perform Tawaf al-Ifada anytime after you return from Muzdalifah. For example, on the 10th of Zulhijjah, when you come from Mena to Mecca, you can go and stay in your room, freshen up there, get some rest. But remember, you must return by Maghrib because you must spend the night in Mena. That's required of you. And so on the 11th of Zulhijjah, once you get up in the morning, then you can basically go in the afternoon back to your hotel, and you have to come back before Maghrib, and we'll stay overnight in Mena. And so this schedule will be provided for those who are in the non-shifting program. So they don't have a specific time to perform Tawaf al-Ifada. I normally do it on the morning of the 11th of Zulhijjah. I'm too tired on the 10th. When I come back from Mena after midnight, after staying at least half the night, then I'll go and make my Tawaf al-Ifada at that time, because Haram will be relatively empty because everybody else is in Mena at the time. Going to the Jamarat, it can be crowded at times, and we will advise you when to best go, but never ever go as an individual. Please don't do that. Make sure you go as a group, not individually. Somebody should be there with you. It's so important because of the condition you find sometimes in the Jamarat. And make sure you take something with you to remain hydrated. If you're going from Al-Muassim camp or Kidana Al-Wadi camp, maybe you want to take an umbrella with you as well to make sure that you're shaded as you're going it. But also, you don't have to do it in the morning, except for the first day when you do it in the morning. The rest of the time, you can do it later in the evening. The details will come through in the fiqh of Hajj classes, inshallah. At the end of Hajj, we'll make arrangements for you to perform your Tawaf al-Wada based on your travel to Medina or the return flight from Saudi Arabia. And for those in the non-shifting program, you'll probably end your Hajj on the 12th of Zulhijjah and do your Rami Jamarat and then go to your hotel, and you can perform your Tawaf al-Wada based on when you're leaving your Mecca, and then you depart from there to Medina if you're going to Medina, or if you're doing a return flight. Now, people ask me, can I bring Zamzam and dried dates? And this is one slide to tell you that, inshallah, everybody is supposed to get a 5 liters of Zamzam that looks just like that picture there. It's packed. It pre-packed for check-in, and it's provided at the airport, and it's no charge at the first point of arrival. What I mean by no charge at the first point of arrival is that I'll take the example of the person who lives in Columbus, Ohio. If it's going to come to JFK for free, but the domestic flight may not be free, right? Depending on whether the domestic check-in person understands this is holy water, and sometimes they accept it, sometimes they don't. So that's what we mean by to the first point of arrival. Dry dates are allowed into USA, Canada, UK, and Australia. Make sure it's packed and you declare it with them. Tell them you're bringing it, and they all are aware of it. What I'm going to go through now is a checklist. So when I'm ready to go, I have created them in separate categories. When it comes to travel documents, I want to make sure that I have my passport with me. I always make a copy of my passport. I make a hard copy, a color hard copy. I also have a soft copy. If God forbid the passport is lost, at least I have a copy that I can go to my consulate and have them issue the paperwork for me to return home. But I have to have a copy with me. And so make sure you have a copy of the passport. Make sure you have a copy of your Hajj visa. If you're taking a green card and PR card, which you only need for your return trip, make sure you have a copy of that with you as well. Make sure your ticket, look at your ticket. Some people don't look at their ticket and they go there and say, oh, I didn't know my flight. I didn't know this. I didn't know I had transit. So don't be surprised. You know, just get, when you get your ticket, take a look at it. Make sure you understand when you're departing. Make sure you understand how long your transit is. Make sure you understand when you're returning. Yeah, make sure you have that with you. And the proof of vaccination, I believe they will require you to have meningitis immunization, which is valid for 3 years. If you had it in the last 3 years, as long as you have the proof with you. I don't think they'd want to see the proof in Nusuk, but they might see the proof after you arrive. So make sure you carry that with you. I basically suggest, if there's this is $500 incidental expenses. It is not meant to purchase any gifts, just in case expenses. That's a suggestion. You can take more. So anything personal expenses, not including gifts, that's basically what that is. However, if you need a wheelchair services for tawaf and sa'i, then you need extra cash. Each time you use a wheelchair, you expect to pay $120. So you have to do it when you're doing your umrah, you have to do it when you're doing tawaf al-ifada, you have to do it when you're doing tawaf al-wida, so make sure you have extra cash for that. When you take cash with you, take relatively newer looking large denominations. The tendency over there is that if I give them $100 US, they'll give me one rate. If I give them a $50 US, they'll give me a lower rate. Even though money is money, they give you a lower rate at a lower denomination. And sometimes if it's a 10s and 20s, they might not even accept that. So take large denomination with you. And this is my suggestion, right? You've paid for most of it. You've paid for 2 meals. You get 3 meals in Mena and Arafat. So this is incidental expenses, just in case. Credit cards and debit cards are also accepted over there. There are ATM machines also over there. We'll go into the details later on. As far as Ihram is concerned, if I'm going to be in the state of Ihram because I'm going to Mecca first, then I must make sure that that's with me. And a pair of slipper or sandal, a belt to tie the Ihram. Some people do it without a belt. Some people do it with the belt. So whatever you're comfortable with. You don't need a money belt, but I've put it in there just in case some people say, hey, how come money belt is not there? Because if you think about it, your valuables are in your hand carry when you're coming in from Medina. And as soon as you come into Mecca, first thing you're going to do is put your valuable in the safety deposit box. You don't need a money belt per se, but if you want to use the money belt to tie it, you can have it, and you can buy that in Medina if you want, right? So basically, if you're going to Mecca first, make sure you don't forget to pack your ihram and accessories in your hand carry baggage. If you're going to Medina first, you will not get your ihram here. Ihram will be provided to you in Medina. Ihram will be only provided to those who are going to Mecca first, because they have to be in the state of ihram before the land. All those who are going to Medina first, starting in Medina first, they will get their ihram in Medina, okay? For women, there are no specific requirement for footwear. This is the most asked question. What kind of footwear do I need? You don't have any requirement for footwear. You can wear shoes, you can wear sneakers, you can wear slippers, you can wear whatever you want, whatever is comfortable and suitable, right? It is preferable to cover the feet than bare feet. So at least have a socks on, right? Or something on to cover your feet, than to have bare feet. It's preferable, but you don't have specific requirement for what type of footwear should I wear. For the men, there is specific requirement. Number one, the ankle and the heel must be exposed, right? So the slipper that you see, the picture, the 2 slippers that you see on the right side, on the bottom, the one on the right one is the most non-controversial one. Basically, you can have that and you're perfectly okay. And of course, in some madhahib, In the Hanafi madhab, they say the ankle and the cuneiform bone, which is the top bone, some part of it should be shown. So you can wear that as well for that because it shows that. Okay? Those who cannot wear the required footwear due to medical reason should consult with the sheikh because there are always allowances for something like that, right? I need to put on a brace. Do I have to give fidya? I can't wear this. I have a flat feet. All of that stuff can be covered in the fiqh of Hajj session because there are always allowances, but this is the standard for men that should wear. I normally, when I wear it, I don't even wear the strap in the back. I want to make sure my heel is completely exposed. So I don't wear a strap in the back. I have OFOs. If you go to ofos.com, most comfortable shoes, slippers, and they're the best ones that I carry with me. For personal needs items, I need toothpaste and toothbrush. I need unscented soap. I actually have gone in and purchased a Dove unscented soap and put it into a dollar store plastic soap box, and I carry that with me. So I always have unscented soap with me. Nail clippers, small scissors, hair comb, whatever I need for my toiletry. Bath and hand towels, I normally skip the hand towel. I just carry the bath towel. Is only to be used in Mena. If I'm going to take a shower there, I'm going to use it. A small packet of tissues is good. It comes in handy. And again, light cotton clothing for hot weather. Just before you're ready to pack, before you're going to go in May, sometimes go into weather.network.com, just check the temperatures. You'll have a good idea as to what the temperature will be like, but it's going to be hot for sure. Camping kit, carry-on bag has a restriction as to what the size is, and the weight restriction I already mentioned. A backpack, sunglasses. If you're wearing any glasses, make sure you take a neck strap. One of those strap that you connect the glass with, so if it falls, it doesn't fall into the ground. It just hangs on your neck. Take that. If you were one of those that must wear prescription glass and you're almost blind without it, then take a spare one. The one you're wearing, take an extra one, just in case. Prayer mat, take it in your carry-on luggage if you're going to use a prayer mat, lightweight, and make sure you take the Quran with you in your carry-on luggage. We're going to, inshallah, have a medical advice webinar. It's not scheduled yet. It's too early. We're going to have that where a physician comes in and talks about all the details of how to prepare for this journey from a medical perspective. But generally speaking, any over-the-counter medicine is available in Saudi Arabia, whether it's Gravol, aspirin, Tylenol, Advil, Vaseline are used by the men to actually put Vaseline on the inner thighs because when they're in Ihram and the thighs gets chaffed as they're walking. So that's one of them. Imodium, just in case, right? I always suggest you take face mask. If you're going to take sanitizer, you better read the ingredients, non-medicinal ingredients that it has no fragrance in it. But you can take face mask, you can take hand sanitizer, right? And of course, rehydration electrolyte tablets for that's important, right? We also recommend you take suitable antibiotics from home, just in case you need to actually get on a course of antibiotics, because normally they give out antibiotics with a prescription as such. So you just go to your doctor and have him prescribe antibiotics for you, one course, whether it's Z-Pak or amoxicillin, whatever it is. And you just take that with you in case you need to use it. Of course, you'll consult with a doctor who will tell you to use it, but at least you'll have the meds with you. If you are one of those that take regular prescription medicine, like I do for blood pressure and for cholesterol, etc., then I need to make sure that I have sufficient medicine to last the entire trip. If I'm going there for 14 days, 12 days, if I'm going there for 14 days, I have one of those pill boxes that has, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those individual little slots in there. I will put 2 days worth of medicine in each one of them so that 1 week's worth of medicine is actually 2 weeks. And I'll take sufficient of my prescription medicine with me. And I'll always carry that in my hand carry, never in my check luggage. Okay. If you have diabetes, asthma, heart condition, blood pressure, it's always a good idea to see your physician before you leave. Let him or her know the condition you're going to be in and seek their advice. If you're allergic to specific drugs, make sure you let your group leader know that you're allergic to drugs. Make sure you write it on a piece of paper or you wear a medical alert bracelet. In case you're unable to speak for whatever reason, at least we will know what your allergies are, right? So please do attend the medical advice webinar. And I have taken a guess that it'll be in the month of May. It might be in April, but it'll be scheduled, inshallah. Now, brothers and sisters, believe me, your preparation for Hajj starts right after Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat, the months of Hajj are well known. Which are the months of Hajj? It's the month of Shawwal and Zulqa'dah and the first 10 days of Zulhijjah. That is Ashhur. These are the months of Hajj. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. And whoever then intends to perform Hajj, make sure that there is no lewdness, no disobedience or committing sins, and no arguments during Hajj. Stop right there and think, I'm not going there to do these things. I'm not going to go there and commit sins or get into arguments. If you're not going to do this, then why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this ayah in here? Because you're likely to fall into it. You're likely, given the circumstances, given the crowd, given the heat, given the lack of sleep, you're likely to fall into it. And that's what he's warning you about. Let him know, whoever has made a Hajj obligatory upon himself, let him know that there will be no lewdness, there will be no committing sins, and there will be no jidal, no arguments during Hajj. And none of us wants to do that, yet there's a warning here because we're likely to fall into it because of the environment we're going to be in. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ. And whatever good you do, and there is no definition here of what that good is, Allah knows it. And that could be just to make sure that you greet the fellow pilgrims next to you after you finish your prayers, or try to communicate with you. You might be from Africa, doesn't matter. He's there for the same reason. Or it would be that somebody is having difficulty lifting a luggage, you're helping out. Or it would be that somebody needs help walking, you're helping that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous. Whatever good you do, Allah is aware. And then he says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا. This is my 99.9% of the questions, right? That I've gone through most of it right now with you. وَتَزَوَّدُوا. If you were to take provisions, go ahead, take the provisions. فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ زَادِ التَّقْوَى. But the best provision is taqwa, being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if this was not sufficient, he reminds us again, وَاتَّقُونِي. Be conscious of me. Ya ulil albab, O you who understand. Be conscious of me. If you have the conscious, people say, brother, I'll be patient. You can't be patient if you're not conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot be patient if you're not conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is that fear of Allah, it is that awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your every action that helps you being patient. You just can't always say, I'll be patient. It's not on command, on demand that you'll be patient. It requires some thought process here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, take whatever you want, but know the best thing you could take with you is being conscious of me. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. And complete Hajj and Umrah for my sake. Only for Allah's sake. Nobody else. No other reason. You're going there for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're just seeking from Him and Him alone. You're resetting your book of record, starting with a clean page after you're done. Allah is generous, He's forgiving, but He wants you to act in a certain way. If He's invited you to His house, He's giving you the code of conduct for His house. It's written right here in this verse. There shall be no lewdness, there shall be no committing sins, there shall be no arguments. That is the code of conduct for Hajj. He's given it to you right now. And how do I maintain that code of conduct? That I'm aware of Him, that I'm conscious of Him in my actions. Not only that, He repeats that by saying, وَاتَّقُونِي, and do and be conscious of me, O you who understand. And this is the month in which you develop that. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the month of Ramadan, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam. O you who believe, I have prescribed, I have written down for you fasting. Kutiba alal ladina min qablikum, as it was prescribed for those who came before you. La'allakum tattaqun, so you may become conscious of me. Taqwa is gained, is raised, is increased in this month of Ramadan, which is why this ayah says the months of Hajj are well known, which starts right after Ramadan. The month of Shawwal is the month of Hajj. So you are actually preparing for this journey now, here, today, this month of Ramadan. Ask yourself that. Do you feel that nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you fast? Do you take your time are you reading the Quran? Are you spending time knowing what's coming? Because it is Allah that invited you. He is the one that chooses you as his guest when you go to his house. But there are rules associated with that. Be conscious of him. This is the month to develop their consciousness. This is the month to develop taqwa. I'm going to go to his house. I am going to tell you everything you need to know about the rites and about the rituals, about the packing, about the transportation, about the heat, about everything you need to know. What I cannot prepare is your heart for this journey. You're going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house. Yes. How do you prepare your heart for this journey? So I've chosen this ayah of the Quran. I want you to think through when Allah is referring to the day of judgment. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالُ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On this day, you will not benefit from your wealth. All the money I've saved so I can have a good retirement, it's not going to help me. Or for the children that I've invested in, I'm so proud that they've become physicians, they've become engineers, they've become successful. Allah is saying on that day, it will not benefit me. Your wealth and your children will not benefit me. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except for the one who comes to Allah with a sound heart. It's time to cleanse our heart. Ramadan is a great opportunity. When you're charitable, when you think of others who are not getting enough food, you're helping them out. When you're spending extra time that you normally wouldn't do in Taraweeh prayers, even if you're at home, or in reading the Quran as best as you can to understand the message of the Quran and making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is part and parcel of cleansing your heart. The other part of cleansing your heart is to make sure that if you've offended anyone, you seek their forgiveness or make amends. If you have destroyed relationship, especially for those nearest to you, your brother, your sister, and God forbid your parents, you better make up for that relationship. You better repair that relationship. It is important that you actually cleanse your heart. Remove the rust, remove the malice from your heart. You're going to go there and say, oh Allah, forgive me, yet you are not able to forgive others that have hurt you. You're going to go there and say, oh Allah, have mercy on me. And this is the month of mercy and forgiveness. You can't forgive others. You can't have mercy on others that may have harmed you. Think about it for a moment. And this is part and parcel of cleansing your heart. Think about it. Once the companions were sitting by the Prophet ﷺ, and they asked, one of them asked him, Ya Rasulullah, who among us will go to Jannah? And the Prophet ﷺ looked at them and he said, the man who is about to enter the masjid is a man of Jannah. And a normal, ordinary companion came in. He had just made wudu, his water was dripping from his beard, and they just looked at him and says, him? What's so special about him? That the Prophet called him as a man of Jannah. What was special about this Sahabi was that as he would lay down in bed each night, before he would fall asleep, he would go through the entire day that he went through, and he would make sure that he has no malice in his heart. That's why he's a man of Jannah. And we're going to go, the one who's most merciful, most forgiving, seeking his grace, while leaving behind all the animosity we may have had, especially if I have a broken relationship. People come to me and say, brother, but he'll never forgive me, or she will never forgive me. It's not for you to decide whether the person will forgive you or not. For you is to sincerely seek that forgiveness from that person. Sincerely make amends. It's not for you to decide. At least you're cleansing your heart by being sincere. Not just a matter of fact, okay, let me try it. No. Sincerely try to make amends. That is what's going to give you a sound heart. So when you appear before him, it's not the day of judgment, but you're appearing before him. You're appearing before him. He looks at you when you're there in his house. He looks at you when you're in Arafat. At least you go there with a sound heart. Another ayah, verse of the ayah, this is from Surah Al-Hajj, and this is regarding the sacrifice you make for Hajj. And look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here. Their meat will not reach Allah, nor their blood, but what reaches him is the piety from you. Taqwa minkum, walakin yanaluhu taqwa minkum. Your consciousness is what reaches. It's an inner journey. As much as it is an outward appearance and all those distractions associated with it, all the preparation associated with it, it is an inner journey. And I want you to start the journey now. You're already in preparing for the journey in the month of Ramadan by raising your consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope that this was of use to you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant ease in completing this journey and guide us to the best of deeds that is pleasing to Him, and accept our Hajj and supplications. I'm going to end this thing right now. Know that this was the general logistics presentation. You'll probably hear some of this again. We're going to try and make one specific to each camp so that you can understand what happens if I'm in a Muslim camp. How is that going to be different? But hopefully this has answered most of your general logistical questions. And I'm going to end it right here. And I'm sure that, Brother Ahmed is going to open up the Q&A, or he has set a Q&A that he can ask, bring up, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Thank you, sir. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. So brothers and sisters, as you know, we have the Slido. The questions were asked. We are not going to look at any other questions after now. MashaAllah, we've gotten about 244 questions. We've compiled them in categories, and we're going to cover them now. So I hope you really enjoyed the session. Bismillah, mashallah, jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar, for the great details. I know many of you probably are thinking this is too much information, or maybe, I need to prepare for this, but this is a good preview of what is to come. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, we have a schedule. This isn't our first Hajj, alhamdulillah. Okay. So please be patient with us. But I know for those that are the overachievers or those that want more information, there it is. And there's a lot of questions. So we're going to cover these questions now in the categories as they come, bi'idhnillah. All right, brothers and sisters, the first thing that I want to say before we begin here, no matter what package you've chosen, alhamdulillah, there was a variety, alhamdulillah, on all levels, from 27,000 riyals all the way to 85 or 90,000 riyals, subhanAllah. All the options are there, proportionate to everyone's needs, finances, times, dates, all of it. And of course, there were flights that you had to choose. There's dates that may be less or more than the package. I just want to make sure there's a clear blanket statement on this. Officially, there are no changes whatsoever that can be done on airlines and hotels and dates or changes on your nusuk application. All right. Has it happened in the past? It may have happened in the past. Is it going to happen this year? There's a very strong chance, or for sure, 100%, that there is no room changes. Specifically the Saudiya Kidana. Saudiya Kidana, you have options now. You can cancel, release your package, and pick another package with gateways or rooming. Other airlines, other packages before, from Majal Caption Islam, you definitely cannot cancel your package because you won't get anything else. So in other words, there's nothing you can do there. Okay, so as it stands, nothing needs to be changed and nothing can be changed. Well, someone says, well, Brother Ahmed, I need to change my booking. That was the public package. Then fine, you can contact, you can contact Al Musafir and see what they say, but they're probably going to come back to you and say, that's not possible. Okay, that's not possible. But at the end of the day is the official response is that there is no changes. Now, in the event that there is a possibility, because alhamdulillah, we're very fortunate that we work with our service providers and we're very close to them with regards to airlines, and a lot of the bookings that are non-Saudi airlines are booked or booked by us, alhamdulillah. Then if there is any possibility, we will inform you after Ramadan. Okay. You do not need to send out a message right now after you get this message and go out and speak to Sister Sahar or Sister Maheen or Brother Haidar or Sister Huda on your package or your designated agent and rush to say, well, Brother Ahmed said. No, the point is that if there is something, we will reach out to you, inshallah, and provide you guidelines of anything that can be modified or what the rules of the modification is, whether it is a gateway, with the exception, of course, of Miami AB 15, we did say that Miami can be changed to Toronto. That's one. That's the only exception. However, if there is a possible modification of a gateway or a delay in a certain a state or a certain gateway, we'll let you know, inshallah. So let's say, for instance, you want to stay longer in a specific place. That sometimes can be possible and is doable with the airline directly, okay? After you get the ticket, inshallah. So remember, there are certain guidelines. There's some things that we can do and in our control, and some that are not. So please be patient with us, because when we have these rules, we will let you know of them. So please, like I said, you put your notes in the DST file, the form, that's perfectly fine. Please just hold off. Please be patient, okay? That's really the bottom line. Now, if there is something that we can modify or update for you, we'll let you know when the time comes, but please be content with what you have, and then we can move on from there, inshallah. All right. So the topics are pre-travel questions. This is the section that covers everything you need to know before departing for Hajj, including required vaccines, visa processing, packing essentials, and spiritual preparation. Flights, this section addresses flight-related concerns such as ticket confirmations, baggage allowances, layovers, upgrades, and transportation from airports to hotels. Package details, details about what's included in the Hajj package, accommodations, transportation during the pilgrimage, group leaders, meals, and other logistics. Hotel details, information about the hotel accommodations in Mecca and Medina, check-in, check-out times, amenities, upgrades, and proximity to the Haram, inshallah. Health and safety guidelines on staying safe and healthy during Hajj, including medical facilities, emergency contacts, heat protection, hydration, and mobility assistance. Alhamdulillah, Brother Azhar probably covered a lot of these topics, majority of them. Miscellaneous, of course, will be general questions about communication, Wi-Fi, recommended apps, refunds, dress code, lost items, and other practical matters for Hajj travelers. And a lot of this was covered as well. So, just some visual. Right now, once you booked, you were asked to fill out a DST form. This is the form where we need to know who you are, because we don't have this information yet from the service provider. Your designated agent. What is a designated agent? Is your lead agent in the Dar es Salaam office. All right. They are the ones that are going to be contacting you from now until you depart. Brother Haidar from Abdul Latif Jamil, Sister Sahar Sira Mawasim, Sister Huda Al Burj, and Sister Maheen in the Kidana Saudi Arabian Airlines packages. So you've probably you've been reached out to them by that already, and you are aware of who they are. In the event that they need information from you or they need to communicate with you, inshallah. Okay, so now the next question would be, is visa issuance on Nusuk? That's usually going to be late April, beginning of May. It's going to be automated. It's automatic. There's nothing that you need to do at all. All right. So there's nothing that you absolutely need to know. There's no prerequisites for the visa anymore. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to be concerned that, do I need to get the meningitis vaccine to get the visa? If there is anything, like you are a permanent resident somewhere and the consulate needs you, they'll reach out to you, inshallah. Okay. So again, remember, visa issuance is end of April, beginning of May. Hajj ticket issuance on Nusuk is also expected to be mid-April, end of May. Domestic flight, do not book your domestic flights until your international ticket is issued, and that is a recommendation of ours. The reason being is because sometimes these flights, the flight timings change, the connection possibly changes, so it's better to do that. But you're probably going to say, Brother Ahmed, well, the flight is going to go higher in price. Now, if they go up higher, about $100 or $200, isn't it better than potentially losing the whole ticket? That is a decision you can make, inshallah. Sacrifice arrangements. Now, of course, as you all know, the Essentials program from Sira and all the Jameel packages do not include the sacrifice udhiyah. Saudi Kidana includes, Al Burj includes, Sira, Mawasim, Premier, gold, and silver includes. What does not include the udhiyah, we will send you a link or information by the beginning of May, inshallah, where you can book or pay, or you can handle it yourself in Saudi Arabia. That's perfectly fine. And it's very easy process, by the way, brothers and sisters. The logistical introductions to you guides, Sheikh, and the team, along with the dedicated WhatsApp groups and logistical sessions, will take place after Ramadan. Group divisions. Usually every group will be divided into subgroups of 48 guests per guide to ensure a smooth experience. So you have the main Sheikh, inshallah, in every program. We'll announce that as well after Ramadan. And then every group has a guide, inshallah, within it. Now, let's get a little more detailed. Let me give you a moment here to look at it. Again, fill out the DST form for your package if you haven't already, ASAP. The designated agents had already started introducing themselves by the 28th of February. So once you register within a day or so now, because they've introduced themselves already to everyone, they'll be contacting you. What do you do now throughout March, April, and May? You watch weekly spiritual and logistics sessions will be available. Communicate any requests to your designated agent if you have not done so, and then we'll start working on them, inshallah. As you know, we've already had spiritual sessions before, and we will continue to do so, inshallah. Of course, we will have also in-person sessions, a few areas in the United States, Toronto, London, and in Australia, inshallah. So we will give you those details, and that would be in May, but we'll get to that, inshallah. So the next milestone really is April 6th. The service providers are expected to begin working on requests after Ramadan, and introductions to guides team will begin after Ramadan, inshallah. We're expecting 6 April as a milestone where we'll be communicating new updates for you, inshallah. April 25th is when Hajj tickets will be issued and posted on Nusuk. Inshallah, it could be before, but we're estimating 30 days before departure. But, if it's before, that's great. Under promise, over deliver, inshallah. Do not book domestic flights until your international ticket is issued. That is a recommendation. May 1st estimated is the visas and the final itinerary. You'll get a final itinerary that's approved by the service providers, and we walk you through day by day, even batches of hours by hours to kind of give you an idea of what the process would be, inshallah. And that'll be specific to every package and every service provider, inshallah. The visas usually will be posted on Nusuk, and they're automated, inshallah, and automatic. May 10th to May 25th is when we'll have the in-person training sessions to be held in the US, Canada, UK, and Australia, inshallah. I'm going to pause here for 30 seconds so you can take a moment to maybe take a screenshot if you'd like, or write down the dates. Of course, this is also recorded. Brother Azhar, did you want to add anything before we continue?
No, Ahmed, this is pretty good as a plan. I think this gives them enough information as to when to expect things to happen. But I think between the presentation, the bottom line here is that we've got you covered. You've seen an example of the logistics presentation. More detail and more specificity will be provided as time goes on, so you don't need to worry about it.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar. Now we get into the questions. MashaAllah. We've subcategorized them, of course, in those categories. And of course, for those that are super excited to ask their questions, we're going to take these questions and answer them. And we hope that, I would say, 95% of the questions are answered from the presentation that Brother Azhar mentioned, and then we'll add on to here. What vaccines are required for Hajj and when should they be taken? Great question. The vaccination is the meningococcal vaccine. The meningitis vaccine, inshallah, is required by everyone. It's not a prerequisite for you to get the visa. So the meningococcal vaccine is required. Brother Azhar had mentioned that. And the COVID vaccine for ages 65 and over. That is also going to be a requirement this year. All right. And we'll continue to remind you. How should I prepare spiritually, mentally, and physically for Hajj? That's a great question. So you have 36 videos from last year. You can prepare yourself spiritually, mentally for that. There's also guidance. We have a session about safety and health by one of our physicians, inshallah, that's going to be traveling. So you can watch those videos and then also prepare to watch all the videos from this year and the upcoming months, inshallah. Definitely, I would say start walking at least 2 miles a day. That's for sure. Hydrate and get used to your preparation, inshallah, for that. What essential items should I pack for Hajj, including Mena and Arafat? I believe that was covered in detail to Brother Azhar. Brother Azhar, did you want to add anything to this?
No, I'm okay with it. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Will there be pre-Hajj training or informational sessions? We've answered that as well. What is the process for obtaining a Hajj visa? We've also answered that by telling you that it is going to be automated in the system. Can I use an eSIM like Aerolos instead of purchasing a local SIM card? Yeah, great question. You know, new phones now, of course, only have our eSIMs, so you can definitely speak to your provider and get an eSIM connect I guess application, or you get an eSIM line or roaming, or you can purchase an eSIM in Saudi Arabia if I don't know if you can have two eSIM numbers on the same phone, but you can definitely look into it and ask your carrier about that, inshallah. Is it permissible to mix electrolyte powders in Zamzam water? That is a religious question. I'm not sure if
Yes,
I'm
you can.
well.
Yes, you can.
Hmm?
You can.
Okay, very good. So Brother Azhar answer that, inshallah. What are the passport validity requirements for Hajj travel? 6 months from your return date. So that's extremely important. Are there any restrictions on medication that can be taken to Saudi Arabia? There are no restrictions on medications as long as you have your prescription copy. How can I prepare for the heat and long walk distances during Hajj? Brother Azhar, do you want to cover that a little more?
First of all, try to see if you can avoid the heat, if you can avoid during the daytime. And long walking distances, if you cannot make it, then many places you have been given an option. For example, you don't have to go to the Jamarat every day and throw the stones. If you can't make that, if you're in a Muslim camp, you can have someone designated who will take your stones and throw it on your behalf. So that, plus use an umbrella, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you take your electrolytes regularly. Those things will help.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Asad. Also, maybe, do things that would acclimate you to heat, right? Like, I don't know, maybe spending some time in the sauna every other day or every week, or doing things that will give you that feeling of sweat and heat throughout the day, inshallah. But remember, brothers and sisters, we're still going to also give you packing lists, right? You have to remember that we're over 2 months away from Hajj, and we're going to have a lot more sessions. But this is something for everyone who's really excited to get the questions answered. Is travel insurance recommended for Hajj, and what does it cover? Again, this is not a religious response, but the recommendation is if you feel like you have a pre-existing condition that you might cancel and lose all your money, that would be the only reason why we recommend travel insurance. But at the end of the day, is if you are in Saudi Arabia and God forbid something happens to you, there are hospitals that would assist you. Of course, not for major procedures. You will have to pay for that. So if you feel like that's a situation that you might be into, then maybe a travel insurance is recommended. But remember, if it's just a simple dehydration or anything like that, you can go to the clinic. We can help you with that, and they can assist you, inshallah. What are the rules regarding ihram and personal grooming before entering ihram? Great question. That's a lot of fiqh questions about it. There's a lot of fiqh sessions about it, and you'll basically watch that. There are many videos on our YouTube channel for it, and there will be many more in the upcoming 2 months, inshallah. Let's go into flights. So, should I book my own domestic flights to the gateway or wait for confirmation? So, Brother Azhar, do you want to cover that a little bit? Just repeat it.
Basically, no. I think there was a date given. I think it's in the previous slide. The reason we say that is because get your international ticket. Once that ticket is issued, right now it's a reservation, but it's issued, then it's a done deal. Then you can go out and book your domestic flight based on that. And if you were to follow the example that I gave you, if you happen to take a domestic flight, then allow 4 or 5 hours just in case, so that you between the connection flight between your domestic and international flight. But don't go out and book it now because you're finding it something cheaper, because there's a tendency sometimes that the international flight, they change their schedule slightly. It's the same day, it might move up 2 hours or so, and then you're going to say I have to go back and get a refund for domestic, which is non-refundable, etc. So just wait a little bit, and inshallah it'll be clear in about a month's time. April 25th is the date, I believe, when we said we're going to issue the tickets. So by the end of April, I think you would know.
Inshallah. And probably earlier, right? But again, that is up to you, inshallah. Are flights subject to change after booking? No. If it's booked and the ticket is issued. So the most important thing is it subject to change? It might change due to airlines or due to nusuk or service providers. And they do have that message when you're booking. So that's why we say once it's issued, then that's it, it's firm. Can I request a flight upgrade to business class? There is a possibility, and please, if you haven't messaged yet, or if you've messaged already your designated agent, that's fine. We have it in the notes. And remember that we will send out a mass message if there is availability or possibility. But I have to warn everyone, business class has become extremely high. And this is even a month before ago. So we just wanted to warn you that this is something that we don't recommend. I understand that may Allah bless you all and give you barakah, but the costs are extremely high. And forgive us, when we give it to you, it's because you've requested it, inshallah. And we would know that again in the beginning of April, bi'idhnillah. Are long layovers accommodated with hotel stays? Yes. In the Hajj 101 telegram, there is a part that talks about the hotel stays. Every airline has a different rule in terms of what hotels, or when they give hotels. Some give hotels at 9 hours, some give it at 10, some give it at 12. So you can look at the airline and they'll provide you the details on that, inshallah. What is the baggage allowance, and can I bring Zamzam water? Yes, baggage allowance is typically the same for any international carrier. It's 2 pieces of luggage. And then the Zamzam is additional, unless you are in a public package and you have 2 separate tickets. That's a different conversation. Zamzam water will count as 1 bag. How much layover time is recommended for connecting flights? Layover times is based on the airline. So if you do have a direct connected flight, then they basically dictate that. And sometimes the connection is between an hour and 20 minutes all the way to maybe 10 hours, depending on which gateway you're traveling from. So stick to those rules. Inshallah, you shouldn't have a problem. If the layover is short and you miss the flight, it's the responsibility of the airline to get you on the next one, inshallah. When will we receive flight? Yeah, sorry.
I think this is more relevant to those who are taking domestic flight to international gateway, because you can't miss your international flight. So you have to allow extra time. I normally tell them, between your arrival at your international gateway and international
5
flight,
hours. Yeah.
use the 4-hour check-in time that they open for 4 hours. Just use 4 to 5 hours. By the time you collect your luggage and you go into the counter is already open.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brother Azhar, the great thing here is that there's another point. We're not in the winter, right? So there's no flight delays that's going to happen. But remember that it's going to be also high season, or we're going into high season. And make sure, I always recommend to say, just in case there's a delay or a cancellation in my flight, I want to make sure that there's at least 2 other flights that will get me to the international flight. Does that make sense? So in other words, if I'm going to New York and I'm traveling from Chicago, I'm not going to book. I want to make sure I arrive 5 hours before departure, but I want to also make sure that there's 2 other flights after, right? My time that can get me there enough time to be able to arrive for check-in. Because if the flight as a domestic is delayed or canceled and you can't make it to your international, you can potentially lose your ticket. So sometimes there's a recommendation of some people as well that you can spend the night before in your international gateway, so you don't miss out on that, inshallah.
I say that in case I haven't met my uncle for a long time, or I haven't seen my friend in a long time. So I'd rather come in one night before and spend some time, and then so I'm at ease. So I tend to take a longer transit time because of that.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry, right?
Yep. I can't miss.
When will we receive flight details and when will we receive flight details and e-tickets? Like we said, mid to end of April is when the tickets will be issued, and might be sooner. But bear with us on that, inshallah. Can I choose my seat on the airline, or are they pre-assigned? So typically the group bookings are pre-assigned, but you can definitely call the airline or go on the website and book your seat once the ticket is issued. Most airlines are now accommodating and allowing that you can select your own seat with a additional fee. So you can do that, inshallah, once you have your ticket. So of course, if you have a public package and you've issued the ticket already, you can always do that now, assuming that you purchased the ticket on a public package. Okay. Will there be baggage collection and rechecking required during layovers? No, unless you have 2 separate tickets. Okay, so unless you have 2 separate tickets, that's a different conversation. Now, remember, by the way, for those in Australia, you have booked a package. Some of you have booked a package that says KUL Kuala Lumpur. We're going to be reaching out to you probably the first week, again, by 6th of April, to ask you if which gateway do you want to travel from Australia, whether it's Perth, Sydney, or Melbourne, and that is included in the price that you've purchased on Nusuk, inshallah. What are the meal options on flights, and can I request special meals? Yes, of course, you can request special meals. Once the ticket is issued, you can contact the airline or go on their online platform to do so. Will transportation be provided from Jeddah Airport to Medina or Mecca? Absolutely. Every single package, including the public package, has transportation. It's public transportation. It can be by bus, it can be by train, depending on the connectivity and the connection of your package. Whether it's public, whether it's packaged, like, I don't know, Ittihad doesn't go to Medina, arrives in Jeddah, we'll have to take you from Jeddah to Medina. The service providers, inshallah, will be doing so. Brother Azhar, did I miss anything here for flights?
No. Pretty well. It's pretty good.
All right. Next, package details. What items are included in the package and what should I bring myself? I believe Brother Azhar has gone over this, and we can also go over and reiterate once we send you your packing list, inshallah. Does Dar es Salaam provide Ihram, Umrah guides, or other essentials? Yes, absolutely. We provide you, well, the service provider does, right? And we support them. But the Ihram you will receive in Medina for the men. If you start in Medina, if you start in Mecca, it'll be mailed out to you, or you can pick it up at one of our locations. We'll provide you that guideline by sometime in the beginning of May, inshallah. And the Umrah guides and so on and so forth. Yes, the guides are going to be with you. We do the whole trip together, inshallah, in your subgroups. Will there be a scholar-led lectures or guidance during Hajj? Most definitely, of course, at least one a day. How are accommodations assigned in Mena, Arafat, and Kedana Towers? Accommodations are based on your package and based on your group. So if you're group number 2 or number 5 or number 6, you'll be accommodated together, inshallah, depending on your package and the service provider as well. Brother Azhar, did you want to add anything here?
No, I think it's just that men and women are separately accommodated for sure. Kedana Towers, I think it'll be in separate floor, and in the camps, it'll be separate areas, but it is also sometimes restricted for men to go into the women's area, which is a good thing because there's a common area for the women to come in and see her brother or husband or whoever it is. So it's a good idea for you to maintain that communication with each other because they're in a separate part of the camp, especially when it comes to movement, going together so that you can go together to Arafat, coming back together from Arafat, etc. But the accommodations themselves are the foam sleeper chair and a pillow, and basically it's pretty it's really right next to each other. Whether it's in Mena and or in Arafat, it's large party style tents, not necessarily individual tents, because only for the day as such. But it is assigned based on groups, so you're together always. It's not difficult to look for each other because they're spread all over the place. But make sure you travel together and you stay together.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar. Again, the question is, what is the transportation arrangement? I think that was discussed by Brother Azhar. Can families or groups request to stay together? That has also been discussed. What is the difference between shifting and non-shifting Hajj packages? I think that also has been discussed. What are the accommodation arrangements in Mena, Arafat, and Muzdalifah? See, mashallah, everything has been discussed, generally speaking, with Brother Azhar's presentation. Did you want to add anything else here, Brother Azhar?
Nope, this is good.
Very good. Continuation. Is Qurbani included in the package or should we arrange it separately? We've discussed this already. Essentials and Jameel are the only ones that don't have Udhiyah. Everything else is included. And by the 1st of May, we'll be providing you guidelines on how you can purchase the Udhiyah if you're in the Jameel packages or the Essentials packages. Will there be group leaders or guides during the Hajj journey? Of course, every step of the way. Are meals provided in the Hajj package and what types of food can be expected? Yes, there's usually half board in the hotels and full board, which is breakfast, lunch, dinner in the masha'ad. And typically they are buffet meals. Unless you are on the go, there'll be boxed meals, inshallah. How do I perform Umrah upon arrival in Mecca? Great. We're going to prepare you, videos before you travel. You'll be ready. You'll be ready to have your Ihram on when in your connecting flight or on your plane. And when you land, you'll be met by the service providers on the ground in Jeddah. You're going to head out by bus. We'll talk about those in details as well. And when you arrive, you're going to check into your hotel or you're going to do your Umrah and then continue on to your accommodations, inshallah. Okay, so remember, there will be guides waiting for you. There'll be mashayikh waiting for you, and we'll be all going and doing our umrahs together. But again, together is not like, we're making dua as a group. It's going to be together where we enter together. You're prepared. You have a khatira. You're prepared for your umrah. You do your umrah, and then you go back to the meeting point, inshallah. Are there prayer areas and air conditioned in Mina and Arafat camps? Yes, there is. On all levels, all camps, Majar al-Kab, Shema Islam, and Saudi Kedana, they all will have that. Can we bring snacks and water bottles into Mina and Arafat? Of course, but you will have water bottle. You're gonna have bottles of water, and you're going to have snacks in Mina and Arafat. but you can bring your own as well, inshallah.
The only thing I would add here is the prayer areas in Mena and Arafat are indoors.
Exactly.
They're not outdoors, right?
They're the same accommodation. So your sleeping, your sitting quarters and your prayer areas or your prayer quarters are the same.
Yes.
All right, hotel details. And here we're going to speak a little bit about rooming as well. Are hotel upgrades available and can we use reward points? Great question. Unfortunately, you cannot use your reward points because these are booked under the service provider's names. So you won't really be able to, it's not like you go into the hotel and go into the counter and check in. They're already pre-assigned and they're already pre-booked. All right. You can always try after the fact. But if you're planning on calling in and putting in your rewards to hopefully get upgrades, that's not possible during Hajj. No one really knows what room they're going to get because it's all run of the house, as they call it. Okay. So hotel upgrades are extremely slim. Of course, if there is an opportunity for upgrades, we will also send you. The same way upgrades for airline, same goes with upgrade hotels. If there is a possibility, we will send you a message and say, whoever's interested, first come, first serve, inshallah. So again, first come, first serve is not now. If I sent it now and say I want to be the first one, it's basically when we know which upgrade is available, which package, which gateway, then we send it to those individuals isolated and ask them, these are available. Please fill out the form ASAP. And we obviously give you a heads up before that happens. Whether the check-in and check-out times for hotels in Mecca and Medina, pretty standard. 11 a.m. check out, 4 p.m. check in. Again, remember, there's always going to be delays in check-in. Sometimes 4 p.m. becomes 7 p.m. So please be patient and know that we are working diligently with every service provider to make sure that we are checking in as soon as we can, inshallah. Will there be luggage storage for those arriving early or moving between locations? Yes, absolutely. There will be availability for luggage storage. Alhamdulillah, we're thinking of everything, bi'idhnillah, and we're going to make sure that happens, inshallah. Is there transportation from the airport to the hotel for public package holders? Yes, there is, absolutely. Are guided tours of historical sites available in Mecca and Medina? In Medina, yes. Mecca, you're actually going to the historical sites for Hajj. So Medina, there will be, and it's going to be in the itinerary when we provide it to you. What amenities are provided in the hotels? Again, most of these hotels are 5-star hotels, so there will be Wi-Fi, laundry, and breakfast and dinner and restaurants as well. How far is the hotel from Haram in Mecca and Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina? All the hotels in Zone A are walking distance. Obviously, the camps, Mena, Mujarrad Kabsh, Ma'isam, and Saudiya Kidana is further out. The Aziziyah hotels and buildings are further out. There will be some scheduled transfers from Mena, whether it's Saudiya Kidana or Mujarrad Kabsh, or even Al Ma'isam. Next to Ma'isam, there is public shuttle buses as well. That, mashallah, Sister Sam is messaging me. So the Fairmont and some of these 5-star hotels do have gyms and saunas and massage parlors, but completely halal. Sometimes after Hajj, you may need something like that, subhanAllah. But anyways, so yeah, so the hotels are very close. There is going to be transportation. There's going to be a schedule for it. So we'll provide you those schedules when the time comes, when it's available. So don't be alarmed and worried about that. Are there elevators available in the hotels for elderly and disabled travelers? Elevators are available in all the hotels, inshallah. Most likely you will need the elevators in a lot of these hotels because some of them are 50, 60 stories high. Brother Azhar, did I miss anything here? Do we want to add anything?
No.
Health and safety. What medical facilities are available during Hajj? Great question. So first of all, we work with the service providers to have a team of doctors, ER physicians, mashallah, that come every year and support the Hajjaj. May Allah bless them. Anytime we're going to have a makeshift location where we can see everyone and shifts in locations, you'll be basically contacting your guide, and your guide basically provides that information to the doctors. And mashallah, of course, there's so many doctors that volunteer their time while we're there. If it need be that you need to go somewhere, we'll call the ambulance and you'll go to the hospital, inshallah. Will there be medical assistance at the Hajj camps? Yes, that was answered. Is there wheelchair accessibility and support for those with ability and mobility issues? Brother Azhar, do you want to cover this part? Because it's a very general question.
Support for those, I mean, if you're
Yes.
relying on the service provider, then you will not have that support because you have only one guide for 48 person. He's not going to be able to just pay his attention or her attention to that one person in a wheelchair. What we mean by support here is that if you're looking for example, I want to do tawaf and sa'i, I need to have someone with a wheelchair to take me and do tawaf and sa'i. Yes, we can hire the person. There are people that actually have their own wheelchairs. We simply walk over to them and negotiate with them the price for the actual services, and then you sit in their wheelchair and they actually do the services for you. That's the type of support we'll be able to provide with those with mobility issues. The other thing with mobility issues would be there's some things that you don't have to do, you don't do, for example, and this way you avoid doing every single thing because you have mobility issues. You probably will, depending on the package you have, if you have the option to skip Mena on the 8th and go straight to Arafat, you'll do that because of the mobility issues. So it depends on what they are. But to rely on a person from the service provider or from Dar Islam to help you with that, no, I don't think you should count on that.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar. Recommended footwear. Actually, oddly enough, we have actually a group that's called Sheikh, is this sandal okay in the Telegram groups. Of course, we're going to migrate from there to WhatsApp April 6th, inshallah. What are the emergency contact numbers in Saudi Arabia? We provide you that with your ID. What should I do if I get lost or separate from my group? Great. Always. The WhatsApp group is the most important thing. And that's why Brother Azhar emphasized many, many times about having communication. Are there cooling stations in shaded areas during the Hajj journey?
Two things. That communication means some people actually would basically do not buy any international voice and data plan. They do not buy a local SIM. They just operate within the Wi-Fi zone, which is fine when they're in their hotel. But when you're out there in Mena and Arafat, you need to actually have your phone that is connected. And so it's better for you to have that, because even if you're not connected, you're not be able to use WhatsApp anyway. So it's more important thing is either you have a SIM from here that works over there, or you're buying a SIM over there to stay connected.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Azhar. How can I stay hydrated and avoid heat exhaustion during Hajj? That was covered. What safety precautions should I take in crowded areas? That was covered. What should I do if I experience a medical emergency? Of course, like we've mentioned, you're going to speak to your guide and we're going to get through it together and support you.
I should also
Brother Azhar,
point
you
out
want to
to
take
you,
some of the, you want to take some of these questions whenever you can?
I want to point out to you about the medical emergency. Their definition of medical emergency is something different, because they come across so many things. You have somebody who collapses and faints waiting at the train station. You can call an ambulance and they're not going to take that person. They have far greater issues to work on than to take that person. The person is this, they're basically going to say, go ahead, give them some electrolytes, give them some sugar, get them up and going, let them rest for a while, and then take it with you, because we're not taking them in the ambulance because we don't consider that to be an emergency. So our definition of emergency is different than their definition of emergency, especially during the manasik of Hajj. I just want you to know that, right? We'll do the best we can to help out.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar. Will we have access to group chats for communication? That was covered. How do I request a refund or change my package? You cannot change your package, but you request a refund. You can always cancel the package on Nusuk. I'm not sure of that question, but if you're withdrawing, yes, you can withdraw the remaining amount. And we've had a video that we posted on Telegram for that. What is the process for changing flight dates or gateways after booking? There is no process. It's not available. But if you did put in a note with the designated agent, there is a possibility, we'll reach out to anyone who has asked for it. Will recordings of information sessions be available online? Of course. Is Saudi Kedana a shifting or non-shifting package? It would be a shifting package, because you're shifting from one hotel to stay in Kedana. You don't have another place that you're going to go back to, because it's a building. It's not a camp. Will there be a Wi-Fi access in the hotels and camps? In the hotels, yes. Camps is very limited, and that's why Brother Azhar mentioned to make sure you have a data plan. What mobile app should I download for Hajj? Just the Nusuk app, and not the website, the app, inshallah. And you don't need it right now at the moment. Can I bring my laptop or other electronics during Hajj? Sure, but it's a bit risky. I mean, you might lose it. It might get damaged. But at the end of the day, if you really need to, you can have it. You can keep it in your room. You can keep it in the Kidana building. You can keep it in the camp, of course. But it's at your own risk, inshallah. Are there specific dress code guidelines for women beyond Ihram? Not necessarily, but we'll cover that inshallah in the fiqh session. What should I do if I lose my passport or other important documents? Great question. Always have a soft copy, like Brother Azhar had mentioned, or a paper copy of your passport specifically, because then we'll go to the embassy and try to replace that passport. It may take some time, but we'll help you through the process. Will there be a designated meeting point in case I get lost? It depends on where you get lost, right? So if you know the location of the camp, you know how to get to the camp. If you finish your tawaf and you're meeting everyone for sa'i, it really depends. But at some moments and sometimes guides will provide you some areas where you need to meet, inshallah. But again, if you're doing tawaf and sa'i and then you look up and that's where your hotel is, I mean, there's really no reason for a meeting point.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you're in the hotels, there is no meeting point if you're in the haram. You just have to come back to the hotel. Generally speaking, when you're in the camps, we tell people stay in the camps. If you're staying in the camps, stay with your group, so the movement is with your group as such. So there is no designated meeting points per se, but for some reason, if you do get separated, then you have to use your communication tools to be able to contact somebody or let your group leader know, or let somebody else know that you're separated, you know where you are, etc., and we'll help you with the getting back together.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azhar. Any recommended books? Sorry, I just posted a poll, by the way. My apologies for the misspelling. But are there any recommended books or guides to read before Hajj? Yes, definitely. Most of the mashayikh. We also, I think Sister Tam mentioned, in terms of meeting points, we obviously share location pins as well. Are there any recommended books or guides? Yes, we will definitely recommend so many. Most of the mashayikh will recommend books when they're doing their fiqh sessions in the coming 2 months, inshallah. All right. I think that's pretty much it for the session, brothers and sisters. I hope you can fill out the poll just so we know where we need to improve on, inshallah. Again, brothers and sisters, this is a lot of information. We've been on for over 2 hours. This is going to be recorded and posted in the YouTube playlist for Hajj 2025. Feel free to listen to it anytime you'd like. It's available to you 24/7. It doesn't cost you anything. You can rewind, open it again and again and again. But at the end of the day, it's available to you, right? If we didn't answer your question, trust me, we'll have more sessions, inshallah, and we'll answer all your questions bi'idhnillah. But this should have been much more than I believe we bargained for, right? And again, remember, you cannot change your package. You will have to cancel and purchase again. So yes, you can do that, Sister Neela. That's perfectly fine. You can do that, inshallah, if you wanted to do that. You'll be getting that. But brothers and sisters, again, I hope you enjoyed the session. I know it was a bit long, but there's a lot of information to cover. We usually do this in several days, but I know there's so much excitement. So we wanted to make sure that we have Brother Azhar with us. May Allah bless him to provide us all this information, inshallah. Brother Azhar, do you want to close us off, inshallah? It'd be greatly appreciated. Jazakallah khair.
Brothers and sisters, first of all, I want to let you know that there is a sound hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he said, the guests with Allah are three. The one who fights in his cause is a guest of Allah. The one who goes for Hajj is a guest of Allah. And the one who goes for Umrah is a guest of Allah. So think from that perspective. No matter what you went through to be able to select a package, it is that you are a guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has extended that invitation to you to come to His house. That in itself is an honor granted to you. So maximize that. Maximize that by getting nearer to Him as part of your preparation. Most of the folks want to know about the manasik, which is the ritual aspects of it. Shall I do this? Shall I not do it? Most of them would want to know the logistics from what I pack, what I do. But the spiritual preparation is with each person themselves, himself or herself. So take full advantage of this month of Ramadan. We are only halfway there. We still have to have the best part of Ramadan, which is the last 10 nights. And plead your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He honors you to be in His presence, in His house, with ease and with security for you to be able to complete your Umrah, complete your Hajj in the manasik of Hajj, and to come out of it like the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, the Hajj mabrur, the Hajj that is accepted, the reward of this is no less than Jannah. and be among those whose name is inscribed as an inhabitant of Jannah. This is the opportunity given to you. No matter what you're busy with, no matter what you want to take with you, what you're looking for is a pathway that your name is written as an inhabitant of Jannah. So that's what you need to prepare for. All the other stuff is side preparation, logistics and all that are side preparation. Your heart must be attached to seeking the forgiveness of your sin and to seek that closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To spend these days in Ramadan, plead your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, get closer to Him through extra prayers like the Taraweeh prayers, recitation of the Quran, the reading of the Quran, understanding the Quran. You don't have to complete the Quran. At least make sure you spend time doing it. And then, of course, we'll come back to you later on with the ritual aspects of it, the fiqh aspect of it, and the tickets and the seats and all of the other stuff. Trust me, we've been doing it over 30 years. We have details that are pretty nauseating, so just make sure that you trust us and we can do this for you, but you prepare yourself spiritually. And no matter what comes your way, this is the part that I've said before. When you step out of your house, no matter what comes your way, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says specifically, O you who believe, seek help with patience and salah, for Allah is indeed with those who are patient. You've exercised patience so far. You have to continue to exercise the patience and continue to remain connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a journey with ease. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts our fasting, our prayers, our recitation of the Quran, our charitable deeds in this month, and makes us come out of this month as one of those who is freed from the punishment of the fire, one of those who has been cleansed, one of those who have had his sins forgiven. And then now we're preparing for this other great journey called Hajj, which is even better. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us there safely and securely and bring us back home to our family and loved ones with Hajj that is mabrur, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, brother Azhar. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Just one favor to ask from everyone. Please enjoy your Ramadan. Focus on your ibadah. There is nothing time sensitive. Give everyone a time to reflect and prepare. This is the time for you to prepare mentally and spiritually, inshallah. And the team, inshallah, is going to work in the background. Please give them some time. Please be patient with them. Before, when we're purchasing, yes, it's 24/7 and we're available, and we have to get there and make sure that everyone goes for Hajj bi'idhnillah. But right now, there's really nothing time sensitive. So if you do have a request, please give them 24 hours to get back to you, inshallah. But please enjoy your Ramadan. Focus on your Ramadan with your family and your loved ones. And inshallah, we'll speak to you again after Eid with the logistics sessions. Remember, there's every Sunday, there's still a spiritual session, inshallah. And may Allah bless you. And we will have the Hajj 101s again. We're resuming them Monday. If you still have any lingering questions, I don't know what other questions you might have, but I hope inshallah you would. Bismillah. Brother Azhar, if you want to end.
Inshallah, let's end the proper way. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.